Today on Public Eye News, where to get flu shots and COVID-19 tests, and NMU hosts a trunk-or-treat event.
Later in the show, Megan Tarcia will have your weather, and Scott Minshall will be back to give you the sports update for the day. I'm Devontae Stein.
And I'm Scott Minshall. Welcome to Public Eye News. With the holiday season creeping up on us, Getz and the UP Children's Museum are partnering up for a great fundraiser. The fundraiser, which will run this Thursday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., will allow customers to get 20% off of their total purchase, with 5% of the proceeds going towards the Children's Museum. The museum says if you can't make the fundraiser at Getz, there are other ways to help out. Small donations of money or items such as books that the museum can use in programs are always greatly appreciated and can be dropped off in person. For more information on the fundraiser and the museum, check out the museum's Facebook page. High winds over the weekend caused over 4,100 power outages across the Upper Peninsula. Cloverland Electric Cooperative was able to restore power to all but 225 homes before having to stop during the night to take a mandated safety rest. If your home is affected by the power outages, visit cloverland.com to check out outage maps and restoration efforts in your area. Cloverland also wants to remind the public to remain safe by steering clear of down power lines or power lines with tree limbs or other obstacles on them. If you see any potential safety hazards, you should report them to Cloverland or local law enforcement agencies immediately.
This has not been your typical year, but that isn't stopping people from getting out to trick-or-treat. NMU student groups hosted for the first time ever a trick-or-treat event on campus. The event turned out to be a huge success. Within the first half hour, almost 100 cars filled up with close to 300 people in them showed up with their costumes and bags looking for candy. Cars were backed up all the way to Fair Avenue. This event had much success, and NMU Student Events is hoping to do it again in the future. To find out when future NMU student events are, follow their Instagram page at NMU_special events. This past Saturday, the 4 More Years chants were out in the Houghton County area as President Donald Trump supporters caravanned US 41 in their cars, vans, and lifted trucks. As the people drove by with their enormous Trump 2020 flags attached to their vehicles, more supporters standing on the side of the road cheered as the entourage of vehicles went past. The parade's organizer, Daryl Koponen, believes that the president has this re-election, quote, by a landslide, unquote. Despite all the polls currently showing former Vice President leading by 10 points the day before Election Day, as well as Michigan showing favoritism in pre-election polls towards the former Vice President. But as we all saw in the previous elections, polls don't mean anything because the polls don't vote. The people go out and vote.
Throughout this month, free coronavirus testing and flu shots will be available in counties across the UP. The Michigan National Guard is teaming up with hospitals and healthcare groups across the peninsula to provide the service to UP residents. The next testing and flu shot site will be on Friday, November 6th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Little Bear East Arena in St. Ignace. Residents do not have to have symptoms of the virus or a doctor's note in order to get tested. The test and flu shots are only available for those 18 and older. Another testing and flu shot site will be on Saturday, November 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Luce County Road Commission in Newberry, Michigan. If you plan on attending the testing site, a cloth face covering will be required at all times unless instructed otherwise. You do not need to have an appointment or reservation to attend, but you will need a form of identification. Due to COVID-19, residents at the Menominee Health Services nursing home have not been able to have visitors. With no visitors allowed, many residents have not been able to see family or friends. When the Bay Area Search and Rescue Team heard about the visitation being canceled, they decided to give the residents something to look forward to. The team got on horseback and rode to the facility where they were able to do a few laps around and visit the residents from outside their windows, making sure to keep everyone safe. The visit was very much appreciated and welcomed by both the nursing home staff and residents. Staff even said residents skipped their daily naps to make sure they didn't miss out on any of the action. Stay tuned because after this break, we will have your national and international news.
Embark on a culinary adventure and discover tasty treasures from around the globe. Bon appetit! Hi, I'm Leslie Sabraco. Join me for inspiring journeys that reveal the history, culture, and fascinating people that bring to life classic and modern cuisine. Here's to deliciousness. Travel the world in 100 days, drinks, dishes, and destinations.
Tonight at 5.
Welcome back. President Donald Trump suggested that he will fire Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, as we are still in the midst of a dark global pandemic with no end in sight. The president was speaking at one of his campaign rallies in Florida as his supporters started a, quote, "Fire Fauci," end quote, chant. The president chuckled and then responded to his crowd with, quote, "Don't tell anybody, but let me wait until a little bit after the election," end quote. This is not something out of the ordinary, as President Donald Trump has already publicly criticized and attacked the well-respected doctor. In recent interviews, Fauci warned the people that the U.S., quote, "could not possibly be positioned more poorly," end quote, as the U.S. enters what could be a very dark winter. Election day is tomorrow, and the candidates are doing what they can today to make their final pitches to voters. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
Joe Biden and President Trump plan to spend their last day of campaigning rallying supporters in battleground states. The president is kicking off his final day in North Carolina, where he's predicting a red wave of support at the polls tomorrow. The president is holding 5 rallies today in 4 battleground states, while Biden will hold 3 rallies in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
We need every single one of you to get out and to vote on Tuesday. My message to you is simple. Pennsylvania is critical to this election.
Biden is sticking to his message that he's the best candidate to lead the country during the coronavirus pandemic.
The truth is, to beat the virus, we first got to beat Donald Trump. He's the virus.
President Trump continues to downplay the pandemic as scientists say it will get worse with colder weather.
Don't tell anybody, but let me wait till a little bit after the election.
More than 94 million Americans have already voted, and both campaigns are already fighting in the courts over mail-in ballots, which could sway the election outcome. The president says his lawyers will swoop in as soon as the polls close tomorrow.
I've seen people where an election got stolen, and by the way, we're not going to let that happen to us, you know, with these ballots.
Our response is the president's not going to steal this election.
Biden is promising to have plenty of lawyers on hand to make sure all of the votes are counted. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
As the coronavirus sweeps across Europe at a startling rate, countries across the continent have begun to partially shut down. Germany started its partial shutdown Monday in an effort to curb the spread of the virus. The shutdown, which includes restaurants, bars, theaters, cinemas, gyms, and other leisure facilities, will last 4 weeks and is being referred to as a wave breaker, with the goal to break the spread of the virus. The country is currently struggling with contact tracing and figuring out where all of the new cases are coming from. Even the country's top health minister is infected with the virus and has no idea where he was infected. Countries such as England and Austria are heading for another lockdown as well as cases continue to rise. Wildfires continue to burn along the West Coast, and as more and more get under control, we can start seeing the damage that has been done. We now go to Colorado to see the latest.
County Road 4920 is nestled in a community near the Rocky Mountain National Park Grand Lake entrance, an area where many come to appreciate mountain living. But this Sunday along County Road 4920, we see a transformation. Where residences and buildings once stood, what's left are chimneys, crumbling walls and appliances, and in some places, glass that's melted. It's estimated standard glass can begin melting on the low end at 900 degrees. Now, at one point, the fire was charging 6,000 acres an hour. The aftermath has left hillside after hillside charred next to incinerated structures. Brett Thomas is a field operations chief for the U.S. Forest Service. He described the fire's fury.
This is an unprecedented event in my career to have a fire that moved at that pace and that extent in such a short duration of fire.
The U.S. Forest Service guided us further. We stopped at Stillwater Pass, where an eerie sight is visible. The mountains have turned black. Here, through the trees, you can look down on Granby. It wasn't just property that the fire claimed, but 2 lives as well. Officials say wildlife were also caught in the inferno, including bears. And this is just a small sample of what the second largest fire in Colorado history has burned.
After this break, we'll be back with your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
hip-hop can help us to cope with the injustices that are going on in the world against Indigenous people, and knowing that you are not the only one that feels like this is happening and it's not all in your head, helps us to heal. It empowers us and it gives us a sense of belonging, and it plants the seed.
Wednesday afternoon at 3.
Back to Public Eye News. I'm Megan Tarsia here with your weather. Behind me we can see the sun is finally out here in Marquette. Looking into our current conditions, it is sunny with a temperature of 51 degrees. Our winds are west at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Our barometric pressure is 29.85 inches and falling. Looking into tonight's conditions, it is clear skies with low of 40 degrees. Winds are west-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Looking into tomorrow's conditions, it is partly cloudy and windy with a high of 47. Winds are south-southwest at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Looking across the UP, starting in Sault Ste. Marie, it is 43 degrees and cloudy. Manistique, 48 and partly sunny. Escanaba at 49 and partly cloudy. Down in Menominee, 47, Iron Mountain, 45 and sunny, Ironwood, 49, up in Houghton, 43 and partly cloudy, and here in Marquette, 51 and sunny. Looking into our weekly forecast, starting with Wednesday, it is a high of 59 and a low of 45 and sunny. Thursday is a high of 57 with a low of 45 and partly cloudy skies. Friday is a high of 59 degrees and a low of 50 and cloudy skies. Now going over to Scott with our sports.
Well, thank you very much, Megan. Jumping right into the sports stories today, Florida Gators head coach Dan Mullen is being accused of instigating a fight that broke out on Saturday against Missouri. The fight broke out when Missouri's Trajan Jeffcoat executed a high and late hit on Florida's quarterback Kyle Trask. Following the game, a video appeared showing Mullen storming off of the sideline and shouting at Missouri players on the field. A huge fight between both teams broke out immediately after. Mullen could be heavily fined or even suspended for the fight. Only 3 players were ejected from the game Saturday night, but the conference could decide on further punishments at a later date. This week in the NFL, the Steelers remain undefeated after rallying from a 10-point deficit at the half against the Ravens. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson threatened the Steelers' undefeated season during the final throw of the game. But Minkah Fitzpatrick swatted the ball away from Willie Snead in the end zone as time expired to give the Steelers a 28-24 victory. With the win, the Steelers are now 7-0 for the second time in franchise history. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin earned his 140th regular season victory and now holds the record over Tony Dungy for most wins by a black head coach in NFL history. The Las Vegas Raiders right tackle Trent Brown is hospitalized after air was injected into his bloodstream during a pregame IV. Brown was supposed to start Sunday after missing last week's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio reports that Brown's representation is seeking a full investigation of the incident. This is the second serious NFL injection mishap this year. The first was when the Los Angeles Chargers medical staff gave quarterback Tyrod Taylor a pregame brain injection for a rib injury and punctured his lung, causing him to be hospitalized. Well, while we're talking about ribs, I heard there's some interesting stuff going on in other worlds.
You got that right, Scott. Brace yourself, everyone. This is the moment you have been waiting for. The McRib is coming back. Yes, you heard that right. The McRib will be back nationally for the first time in 8 years on December 2nd for a limited time. McDonald's is looking to boost its sales after seeing a 68% decline in net income during the second quarter. The McRib is said to have a cult following, with there even being a McRib locator app that shows users where the McRib sandwich is being sold due to the fact that it has not been sold nationally since 2012. The McRib debuted back in 1982. That's all the time we have for you today in Public Eye News. Thanks for tuning in today, and remember to get out and vote tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.